Kenny, I know I talked to you in Paris. You were going to ride the Stark. The guys brought you down there to ride it. Looking at your Instagram and stuff, you look like you had a lot of fun on the bike, and I've spent some time on the Alta, and they're pretty cool. Why do some people just got to hate on the thing, though? Like, I read through your comments, like, okay, like, if you don't like electric bikes, that's cool. Like, whatever, that no problem. Like,
just like the e-bike thing, man.
Why
people
do you
just hate to hate.
Why do they hate it, though? Like, just, if you don't like it, cool. Like, I get it. You want a gas-powered bike.
We're not telling you have to ride one, but geez.
Dude, some of these people on Kenny's Instagram are losing their shit that Kenny rode this thing, you know?
I know, but yeah, I honestly, I can't tell you. I don't know what's going on. I see, you know, back in the day, it's just like, when you love dirt bikes, like, it's like when you say we like gas-powered vehicles, you know what I mean? But, dude, you have to look at this thing. This thing is freaking amazing. It's fast as shit. It feels way different, you know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different riding. It's same, and different, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just cool. Yeah. I rode it. Like, I gave my 2 cents about it. And it's just like, there was just so much heat and so much tension as always, right? And I'm like, dude, I just like riding dirt bikes and I got this opportunity. Like, why can't you just take it for what it is, right? Like,
calm down, everybody. Calm down.
It's next level, honestly. I mean, there are just thousands of comments of.
Well, it's just like anything in the world. I feel like people just take offense to everything, and that's one. It's like, hey,
everything.
We all talk. You know, you see people in there like, I've been in motocross forever. Like, this is ruined. I'm like, what? We're all here because we like riding dirt bikes and fun. This is fun. I'm not telling you have to do it. I'm having fun doing it. Some people are gonna have fun doing it. What is the problem with that?
How crazy is it, Kenny, coming into a corner and hearing like your chain slap?
Oh my god!
And that's it. Like, it's so weird.
Tire roll.
It's funky for sure. I got used to that. I was amazed by the handling when I rode the track. It was ripped up, but it was dry, so it was super pebbly, marbly, right? And that bike would just hover around the turns, and I was able to make one turn. And they had a stock Cowie there, and I rode that thing, and I really struggled on it. I made like 5 turns instead of one smooth turn. You know what I mean? So it's a completely different. You don't have any engine mass turning and rotating, so it's very stable. Granted, the bike, the track was pretty damn flat, but they had a couple of muddy areas where it was rutty, and it just stays in the rut. Like, there's nothing upsetting, like no engine brake, no nothing. And also, when you jump and you dive the front, you're always in the perfect gear. There's no clutch, no shifting, no nothing. So there's no like limit really on how fast the rear wheel spins. So you can correct it. You can literally go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock just by holding the throttle wide open. It's pretty wild how it feels like. You know how the bike in general is pretty heavy, right? Like, it's heavier than a regular bike, but it feels like you're riding a 125. It really does. When Sebastian Tortelli told me that, I'm like, fuck, I was just so amazed by all the technology, because he explained some of the things with the software and the battery and all of that stuff, right? And it just sounded really cool. So I'm like, man, I got to go down there and ride it. So we set that actually up in Australia. That's when we sat down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I overjumped stuff. First 10 minutes of me on it, I was overjumping stuff. I was like, because I kind of know the sound that the motor makes to how far I'm going to jump, or I don't know. It just threw me off. I
agree. Yeah. I agree. The jumping was a little scary at first. Because also, first of all, I had a really hard time remembering the track. I rode this outdoor track on this golf course. It used to be an old golf course. I don't know if that's where you rode it or whatnot. Did you ride it in the U.S.?
No, I rode the Alta. But the golf. I was talking about the Alta. The golf course is where they did the media stuff, though. Yeah.
So and I rode the track, but I was so focusing just like on the bike. And granted, I just raced Paris 2 nights, right? I've had very, very, very little sleep. I'm coming in, I'm riding in the afternoon. I rode until it was dark, literally. And I had a hard time remembering the track because the bike just jumped weird at first. I was just trying to focus on what this thing's doing. I think it would have helped me if I would have ridden this bike on a track that I've already known and ridden a different bike as well, you know?
Right.
That would have helped a lot.
Hey, I'm curious if you ever ran into this. So, here in the U.S., we got to ride the Alta over the years. I had to send somebody else that part, so I haven't rode that yet. But when we'd ride on more hard pack tracks, like the weight throttle, you rolled on is all good. But I rode a really rutted track with it one day with like long inside ruts. And the thing that tripped me out is where on a normal gas bike, you have clutch to be able to sort of load the bike in the corner, like load the throttle against the clutch a little bit and feed out and make the bike squat or manipulate that. Where those things, you're just rolling on throttle. when I rode one, I kept using the rear brake to almost like load the bike under throttle. Did that track have enough ruts? Did you ever like trip out on that experience, not having a clutch to load the bike, or?
No, because I don't really use the clutch that much, so that didn't really bother me that much. But what I was tripping out the most, I think that's what makes it hard when the track gets hard packed and you open the throttle, because this bike doesn't give you that much feedback, right? And I think that's why it hovers over, or it feels to me like it's hovering over the ground. Like you don't feel every little marble, where on your regular dirt bike you feel everything that's laying on the ground. So that's kind of cool. But also when I rode supercross, because they had the supercross track right at the bottom, I really, I was like, dude, I am not jumping this. I am not jumping that. I'm not jumping this, because it was just like, I had really hard time feeling the motor technically and how much throttle I'm really giving it. This thing is so incredibly fast. So I couldn't really get enough feedback, but I've also not ridden. When you ride that thing all the time, you'll just get used to it. But just coming from a regular dirt bike to that, I had a hard time feeling the motor and the connection to the ground a little bit, and where I'm opening the throttle and how it responds. I don't know, it was just a little bit weird that way, and it made it way, way, way harder on Supercross. That's when I was really tripping out.
Yeah, you're a little more precise, right? Yeah.
I'm like, I seat balancing. I rode 2 different sets of suspension there. One was Boss and one was from Magic or something like that, I think. Or was it Bud Racing? Yeah, I think it was Bud Racing or something. Yeah. And so they had 2 different suspensions, and I just didn't know what it was doing. Plus it being an electric bike, and then on a Supercross track, it was a crazy experience.
Hey, but moral of the story, you had a great time, right?
100%.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in there jumping on a Cowie for Men. This is one I really want to ask you about, of course, amongst all the bikes you were supposed to test and ride, the ones that Mitch built for you. Did you ever actually get to ride them,